Hey friends, welcome back to my channel and welcome back to another week of What's for Dinner. If you're new here, hello and welcome. I am Taylor. I'm a stay-at-home wife and mom, and I share these What's for Dinner videos every Sunday to hopefully give you some new meal ideas and motivate you to cook more for your family. I started doing these videos like 4 years ago now to motivate myself to cook more for my family because I was like eating out a ton, like just getting stuff and not cooking very much. I wasn't meal planning, and so I would just buy a bunch of random groceries and then have no idea what to make. So I hope that these videos can help you do the same for your family. And if you like these kinds of videos, I hope that you will subscribe down below. And any recipes that I mention will be in the description box. Now let's go ahead and get into this week's What's for Dinner. Friday night I made a family favorite, and that is sausage, green beans, and potatoes. This recipe comes from Kat over at Southern Farm and Kitchen. I will have her video linked down below. I always try to link somebody else's video or their recipe whenever I use somebody else's recipe. And I've made this many times now, and it is so delicious. So I started off by cutting up 1 pound of smoked sausage, and then I just got that in my pan over medium heat, and I just let that brown for a couple of minutes. Once I had the sausage browned up where I wanted it, I added in some potatoes. Typically, I would cut up just like some raw potato, like about 3 of them. I just dice them up and put them in here. But when I want it to be super quick and easy, I will use some canned potatoes. So these are just some sliced canned potatoes, and I just drained them and added them in here. I did 2 cans, and then I added in some seasoning. Sometimes I do Badia complete, but I've been really liking using this 21 seasoning salute from Trader Joe's. Just whatever your favorite all-purpose seasoning is, just use that in here. Sometimes I like to do Tony's too. That's really good in here as well. Then I add in 3 cans of green beans. 2 of the cans I left the liquid in, and then 1 of the cans I did drain. Sometimes I like it a little bit more soupy, so I'll leave the liquid in all 3 cans, but it just depends on my mood. You can leave the liquid, you can drain the liquid, whatever you want to do. And then I add in a little bit of chicken bouillon powder, as well as a little bit more of that 21 seasoning salute, and then some butter. And then I put a lid on this. After I stir it around, I put a lid on this and just let it simmer until everything is hot. If I was using raw potato, you would want it to simmer until the potatoes were done, but these potatoes from the can are already soft, so it doesn't take very long at all. As I said before, this is a family favorite. We love to serve it with like some sort of roll or something on the side. This night I did some Red Lobster Cheddar Bay biscuits, and then Andy and I like to top ours with some hot sauce. Super delicious, and you should let me know if you try this recipe. Saturday night I did a cheeseburger pasta. This is basically like a homemade version of the Hamburger Helper cheeseburger pasta, and in my opinion it's almost just as easy as buying a box of Hamburger Helper, as long as you have like the seasonings and stuff on hand. So I just started off by browning up a pound of ground beef with some seasonings. I did some garlic powder, some onion salt, some dry mustard, and some salt and pepper, and then I just browned the meat until it was cooked through. Once my meat was done, I started adding in my ingredients to make the sauce. So I added in some Worcestershire sauce, some mustard, some ketchup, and some pickle juice. And then I added in a mixture of beef broth, water, and milk, along with some elbow macaroni. All of the measurements will be down below for you guys if you want exact measurements. I wasn't really measuring it. I was just going by my eyeballs. But I do have a written out recipe that I will have for you guys down below. So once I had all that in there, then I just brought it to a boil. Once it was at a boil, I gave it one more good stir, and then I reduced the heat to a medium-low and covered it and let it simmer for about 10 minutes or until my elbow noodles were done. When my pasta was done, I added in a bunch of cheddar cheese and I just let that melt, and then I let this sit with the heat off for about 5 minutes and it gets nice and thick. So here is what it looks like after letting it sit for a few minutes. As you can see, it gets nice and thick. It's not like super liquidy or anything. And it's super delicious. I hope that you guys will try this recipe and let me know how you like it. You could definitely serve this with like other things, salad or bread or whatever. But on this night, I wasn't feeling it. I just wanted super quick and simple. So this was all that we had. Sunday night's dinner was Pollo Fundido, which is some chicken with cheese dip and Mexican rice and beans. And sometimes I'll do black beans and sometimes I will do refried beans. But my Aldi was actually out of both black beans and refried beans, so I wasn't able to get any. And instead, I bought a big bag of pinto beans. I was going to make them in the Instant Pot. But on this day, I actually forgot that that was part of the plan when I pulled the chicken out of the freezer, and didn't realize until like 5:30 that I needed to make refried beans. So I found a recipe on All Recipes that used 2 cans of pinto beans, like just canned pinto beans, to make some refried beans really quickly. So I started off by just heating up some vegetable oil in my pot, and then once it was hot, I added in some cloves of minced garlic and just like let that saute for like 30 seconds to a minute. And then I added in my seasonings, which was some cumin and chili powder and salt, and then my 2 cans of drained and rinsed pinto beans, as well as a little bit of juice. I don't remember if I added it in at first, but I did do a little bit of juice from a jar of jalapenos. And I just let that get hot, and then once it was hot, I went in and mashed up those pinto beans to create some super simple and easy refried beans. And these actually turned out really, really good. I was very happy with how they tasted. It was probably actually better than a can of refried beans, and it was very, very easy to make. Now, moving on to my chicken. When I do chicken like this, any kind of chicken that I fry in my cast iron pan, I like to cut my chicken breasts in half horizontally so that they are thinner and they cook more evenly. So I just took my 2 chicken breasts and I did that to them, and then I seasoned them on both sides with some Goya, like complete seasoning, and then some adobo, both sides with both of those seasonings. And then I like to get my cast iron pan nice and hot over like a medium heat. And then I will add in some vegetable oil and a little bit of butter. And then I will cook this chicken on each side. I don't know, chicken takes a while. You just got to check your chicken for the temperature, check the inside, make sure it's cooked all the way through. It takes a little bit of time, but it turns out so good cooked in this cast iron pan. It gets like a nice crispy sear on the outside of it. It's so good. You've got to try cooking chicken like this in a cast iron pan if you haven't before. It really works with like any kind of seasoning. Sometimes I do Tony's and like Badia complete and just cook up some chicken for salads and whatnot. But it's definitely like my favorite way to cook chicken. So when my chicken was done, I just cut it all up so it would be easier when we're eating it. You just cut it all up, and then I like to take some rice. We've got this Mexican rice that I make in the Instant Pot. I will have the recipe for that down below for you guys. We've got our beans. I actually added a little bit of sour cream to these because I like to do that with any refried beans when we eat them. And so we've got our rice with our chicken over top. Some cheese dip. This is the El Terrifico cheese dip from Sam's Club. Refried beans with a little bit of cheddar cheese on top of those. The kids like their chicken and cheese dip on the side. And then on top of my chicken, I also have some pico de gallo. This dinner is really good. It probably is one of our favorites. And I've never ordered it at a Mexican restaurant actually, but I hear it's a very popular dish at a lot of Mexican restaurants, just like chicken with cheese dip on it and rice and beans. And it is very good, so I can see why it's very popular. Monday night's dinner was all about using up some leftovers that I had in the freezer. I had some diced up turkey, either from Thanksgiving or Christmas, I can't remember, and also some mashed potatoes, either from Thanksgiving or Christmas, I can't remember. I like to freeze those kinds of things because they freeze really well, and then you can make something like this. I am making like basically a turkey shepherd's pie. So I'm starting off with 2 packets of turkey gravy from Aldi, and you just whisk that with some cold water. It's 1 cup per package. So I am just starting off by making the gravy according to the package directions. And I chose to do this in my cast iron pan so I could have as few dishes to do as possible. That's the only reason why. You could just do this in a regular pot and then transfer it to a baking dish if you want. While I was working on my gravy, I got my mashed potatoes into a pot so that I could start heating them up to make them easier to spread, and because they were still just a little bit frozen in the middle. And I also ended up adding some heavy cream to this to kind of thin them out a little bit. I don't think I got a clip of that, but I did do that. Once my gravy was done, I started adding in my other ingredients. So I added in my cooked turkey. I had about 2 cups, I think, of cooked turkey. I added in 1 can of mixed veggies that I drained. And then I added in some seasonings. I did some garlic powder, some onion salt, some paprika, and some salt and pepper. And then once I had that all mixed together, I had my mashed potatoes and I just like spooned those over the top and spread them out as best as I could. My cast iron pan is looking at pretty full, about to like overflow, but it's okay. I ended up putting it on a sheet pan so I didn't like get my oven all dirty, but it didn't overflow too bad. And then I also topped my mashed potatoes with some Monterey Jack cheese, and then this went in the oven on 375 for 25 minutes. And here is what it looked like when it came out of the oven. This turned out delicious. It was a great use of that leftover turkey and leftover mashed potatoes. I let it sit for about 5 minutes before serving it up, and we just had it by itself. Tuesday night, I actually had Lily in the kitchen. She wanted to help me make dinner, and we were making lasagna. I have shown this before, so I will leave one of those videos a link down below, and in the description box I will also list out all of the ingredients. I basically just take my meat sauce, and then a layer some noodles on top, and then a cottage cheese mixture. That's cottage cheese, some egg, some Parmesan cheese, and like some garlic powder, onion powder, and some Italian seasoning, and some mozzarella cheese. And then I just like layer that until my pan is full. And then I bake this covered for about 45 minutes and then another 10 minutes uncovered. Turns out delicious every single time. We love lasagna, and Lily had actually requested this, and I think that's why she wanted to help me make it. We just served it with a salad on the side. Wednesday night, I tried a new recipe for some pork and gravy made in the crock pot. I had a pork loin in the freezer that I really wanted to use up and try something new, so that's why I chose this recipe. So it uses 2 cans of cream of chicken, so I'm adding that to my crock pot, and then a seasoning packet of pork gravy, and then 1 diced onion, and then I just mix all that together really well. Now for my pork loin, I just took that and I seasoned it all over with some salt and pepper, some rosemary, oregano, thyme, sage, and garlic powder. Then I took my pork loin and I put it into the crock pot with that sauce mixture and just kind of spooned it over the top of the pork loin. I was really tempted to add some more liquid to this because I thought it was going to be too thick, but I didn't. And I'm glad that I didn't because, you know, the pork like cooked off its own liquid, so it definitely didn't need any more liquid. I actually wanted the sauce, like gravy, to be a little bit thicker. I thought about adding a cornstarch mixture, but I just left it as it was. So I let this cook on low for 8 hours, and then when it was done, I went in and just shredded it all up, and I just let it sit, and it thickened up a little bit, but not as much as I would have liked it to. We just served this over some white rice with some green beans on the side. And finally, the last meal of the week was Thursday. Thursday was a heavy day. I was just really overwhelmed by all the things going on in the world and did not have the motivation to cook. So I was really glad we had some leftovers in the fridge. We all just had some leftover lasagna and some salad. That is going to be it for this week's What's for Dinner. I hope that you guys enjoyed it. If you did, let me know in the comments down below, and also let me know if you plan on trying any of these recipes. As always, thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see y'all in the next one. Bye!